Hello and welcome to another lesson on Excel basis. In our previous lesson, we made to understand what a cell is, which is an intersection of a row and column. And we also familiarize ourselves with how Excel names a cell. So today we are going to look at cell reference. A cell reference or cell address is a combination of a column letter and a row number that identifies a cell on a worksheet. In order for us to make calculation in Microsoft Excel, we cannot do without cell reference. How do you create a cell reference? You create a cell reference by first initiating a sign that tells Microsoft Excel that you want to make calculation, and that is the equal to sign. Once Microsoft Excel sees this, it knows that you want to make calculation. So we have basically three types of cell reference. We have relative cell reference, absolute cell reference, and mixed cell reference. But today, our focus is going to be on relative cell reference. Now, what is relative cell reference? This is when the reference changes according to the position of the cell it is copied to. If you want to repeat the same calculation across several columns or rows, you need to use relative cell reference. If what you want to do applies to other cells, you need the relative cell reference. Let's take it from this next sheet so that you understand properly what we are talking about. Now, this is a score sheet for these students or candidates. And what we want to calculate applies to each of them. The same formula we will use for Jane is the same formula we'll use for Joanne, is the same formula we use for Blessing, is the same formula we use for Fidelis, is the same formula we use for Alice and Cecilia. So the formula we will use here, when we find the formula for the total for Jane, the scores of Jane, we don't need to still type it here. We will just copy the formula to Joanne and to Blessing, to Fidelis, to Alice, and to Cecilia. When we copy the formula from here to here, it's going to change according to the position here. Now, when we are adding, we are going to add 5 cells to my left, 4 cells to my left, 3 cells to my left, 2 cells to my left, and 1 cell to my left. It's going to add all these cells together. So if we do that, the formula will be here. Now, if I copy this formula and put here, it's going to do the same thing for Joanne. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We add them all together. The same thing for cell, this cell, the same thing for 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 this cell. Okay, let's get into business. Equal to, I'll type sum. Now, when you are typing a particular formula and you see a suggestion, you can either, if the suggestion is at the top of it, like what I want is sum, I'll press my tab key. Now, for me to make this calculation, I will not put the numbers. Why am I not putting the numbers? If I put sum 10, 45, 44, 85, 40, it will calculate it. But when I want to make changes to this document, it won't change to this course, it won't change here. So that's where referencing comes into play. So I'm going to reference this cell. It's going to be from cell C8, move to cell D8, E8, F8, and G8. I'm referencing from cell C8 to G8. I'll close the bracket and press enter. You can see that in less than no time, it has calculated the score for Jane. Now, if I want to calculate the score for Juan, ordinarily, I would have done the same thing by typing sum equal to sum. I'll highlight from this point here. Be very careful not to include what you're not supposed to include. To this point, press bracket close, press enter. I'll do it for each of them, but that's waste of time. The beauty of Excel would not be felt if we continue that way. So I'll come to the first one here. Since, remember, the cell reference changes when the formula is copied to any other cell or any other worksheet. So now I want to copy this formula from here. Though you are looking at 224 as the output, if you look at this formula bar, the exact formula is written in the formula bar, while the cell here shows the output. So when I copy this from here to this point, what we'll be copying is the formula. And this formula is going to change according to the position of the cell I am copying it and pasting. So look at this cell very well. You will see a shaded box below this cell here at the bottom right. Move your mouse or cursor to that point. The big cross is going to change to a dark thin cross. Double click it. Once you double click it, it's going to calculate the total for all the candidates or students, even if they are 1 million. That's the beauty of Excel. Now let's try this one more time with what we call average. Average is also called mean. The formula for average is average here. Press this. Remember, you might start your own work with a different cell. So if I give you this worksheet, if you have not used exactly the same cell I used, reference it according to the cell in your own workbook. So I will be highlighting from here where I have the scores. Make sure you don't touch the total, because the average function here calculates it for you. Ordinarily, we would have picked this total 224 divided by 5, but this average function does everything for you, does the calculation for you. So I'll put bracket close and press enter. So you can see the average there is 44.8. I will do the same thing just like I did here. Since the same formula that applies to Jane applies to Joanne and applies to the rest of them, I'll move my cursor to where this shaded box is at the bottom right and double click it. It's going to calculate it automatically for me. So that's what a cell reference is all about. I hope you get that right. If you do not understand to this point, please do let me know, and I will see to the fact that you understand properly. See you in my next video.